Yeah, it is getting tall. Okay, so we've got this fan palm in the yard here, and what I want to do is, here, well, I'll show you what we're gonna do. Inside here, underneath it, we have the old palm fronds. There they are. I think that these would be gorgeous inside the house, and so I've been watching them for a while. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let them hang upside down, you know, being that they do that naturally as they're drying out, and then I'm going to cut them. But what I'm gonna do is be very careful about the teeth on there, because I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you see those teeth all the way down? I mean, it's literally like, they're bigger than the saw. Do you see those? Yes, we want to be very careful about those. They are literally like shark teeth. Look at these things.
Yeah, they'll stab you.
Yeah. Okay, there's another one. Okay, there's all the palm fronds, and it actually turned out that they're even bigger than how they looked up on the tree. After we got it down, it was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna need a bigger vase for this. We just need to stop for a moment though and appreciate these teeth. Look at those. I mean, they're not even like shark teeth, they're like waves or something. Those things are crazy. But what I'm gonna do is, before I take these in or anything, I'm gonna take my little shears, my little pruners, and snip the tips off of these. The dried palm fronds that we cut down, I'm gonna be putting them in this pot, I think, but I wanna fix this up and kind of upcycle it, and we're gonna paint it. So what I'm gonna do is transplant the pencil cactus into another pot here. It's very similar in size, it's a little lower profile though, but I think that this pot will be perfect for those dried palm fronds. And it's a little old and it does have a little bit of flaking, but I think we'll be able to fix that up. All right, let me go ahead and get transplanting this, and I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, we're gonna do our best to clean this up. I'm just using a wire brush to scrub it down. Okay, instead of spray painting this, I'm gonna paint it by hand, so I'm using my Kilts primer first. To get inside the handles, I'm using a little art brush, so I'm just going to take a little of the primer and get right inside here, because it's hard to reach with the bigger brush. Okay, so I'm going to be mixing these two. So I've got Bare White Blush, and that is, it's got a little bit of tint to it, you know, it's a little warmer of a white, so I'm going to mix it with this white, just a little bit of this left over, and so that'll just make it so it's not quite so cool, but I do like how it's coming along here. Oh, if you hear that noise in the background, that's Michael chopping wood. It is just amazing how just adding that slight tint to the white just makes your piece come alive. Now it reminds me of a piece from, you know, the Greek islands or something. I'm also leaving any little nicks, so I'm not filling in. I want it to look kind of like it's a little bit worn, but I'm not going to purposely go back in and sand any parts or anything. Just as I'm painting, because I already started out with texture, I'm just leaving, you know, any little nicks or indents. I'm not going to try to take the paint and get in there. I'm just going to leave it as is. So let's get a little bit more around the rim here. Also down here at the bottom you can see the terracotta coming through. I'm not going to flip this and paint it. I'm just going to leave it as is because I like that kind of worn look on the bottom. So we did one coat primer, one coat paint, and I'll probably do one more coat of paint. I'm not going to paint too far down on the inside, just a few inches down there, so you know the top lip will be covered. Okay, this should dry pretty fast. I'm all done painting. I'll let it dry for a few hours and then I'll bring it in for the night, and then tomorrow morning we'll put the dried palm fronds in and see how it looks. Okay guys, here's the pot. It's all done and dry, and I love how it turned out. Just adding that white blush to the plain stark bright white, it just softened it just enough to where it just added this creaminess to it. I love how it turned out, and I used matte too, so I don't know if I mentioned that, but both the colors that I combined, they were matte, and so it just makes it look like that's how the pottery was actually done instead of just being painted, you know, or having like a glaze on it or something. It just looks really natural and it has a lot of texture to it. I took my nippers and snipped off most of those sharp points too along the edge, so I did that outside before I brought these in. Okay, now to wrap your dried ornamentals, it depends on how large and heavy the bouquet is that you're making. What I'm gonna do is, since my palm fronds are quite large and heavy and they can, you know, they can flop all over the place, if I was just to throw them in the pottery, they would be flopping and laying over and falling out because of the width of my piece of pottery. So what I want to do is hold those together and create that pretty kind of fanned out shape. And since I'm doing this as an upcycle, I just wanted to use everything that I already had. So I had a piece of burlap fabric, so I'm just going to cut ribbon sections out of this from 2 to 3 inches wide. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go closer to about 3 inches. I want it extra wide because I'm going to pull out some of the strings from both sides. And that's why I like burlap fabric, because it's so handy to do all kinds of crafts with. I'm just going to take a strip like that and just pull some of the threads out. So yeah, just pulling out a few threads on each side of your burlap will give it that raw edge. And when you come to the end, you might have to snip off that thread because they seal up and make those edges really tight on the burlap, so you might have to trim it off there. Okay, so I pulled off about 4 threads on each side. So I'll just make a few more pieces of ribbon with the raw edge and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm gonna place my 3 longest palm fronds in the back. I have 5 total. And so the other 2 have more of a fan shape. They're a little bit shorter, so I'll have those in the front. Okay, so at the base where they're cut here, I wanna make sure that those are all about the same length. And then at the top, it doesn't matter if those are, if they vary in the height at all. That's actually good if they vary, because then it adds more dimension to your piece. Okay, so to make our top really pretty where it kind of fans out, our bottom stalks are gonna be kind of crisscrossing. So for example, the piece on this side, its stalk is gonna be going this direction. The piece on this side, its stalk is gonna be going this direction. Then the one in the middle just goes straight up and down. These are the 2 shorter pieces. These are gonna go on top. And it's going to go slightly off to the left there, or whatever side. One's going to go slightly off to one side, and then the other is going to go slightly off to this side. And just making sure that they're all staying, the stalks are all at about the same length there. The more you want your bouquet to fan, the more of a crisscross you're going to have down here. So your stalks are going to be like really opposite, right? But you're going to have an area down here where I'm kind of holding on to that's going to be pinched tight together, because that's where we're going to start wrapping. And we will begin wrapping with our ribbon at the most narrow point. So just wrap my ribbon around the back side there. And we want that first wrap to be nice and tight. That's why I like burlap, is because it always wraps really tight and it helps kind of hold on because it's so fibrous. And you can wrap whatever direction you want. You can go, up or down. But we're going to be going both ways. So I just start in the middle and work my way down and then work my way up. So just keep pulling in snug as you go. And then you can take some twine to tie around and secure your ribbon, or you can just use pieces of the burlap, which is what I'm doing. So I just take a piece of burlap, fold it in half and double it, and just tie your piece of twine or your burlap string in a knot to secure your ribbon. So you're gonna take another piece of ribbon, and I'm kind of going over the top of that, and I'm gonna work my way upwards. Another piece of twine and secure that ribbon in place. So we're just tying that in a regular knot. Trim those off too, so shorten that. I'm going to do another piece of ribbon. So I wrapped upwards to a certain point, but then I'm kind of going to go back down again. Also, if you have a roll of twine, you can take that in place of the ribbon and wrap that on your stalks, and then you can cover that with whatever you want. You could take just one piece of fabric and cover it, or one piece of, burlap if that's what you're using. But yeah, there's all kinds of methods for wrapping your dried ornamentals. This is just one way, and I'm just trying to use up craft items and supplies that I already had available. But yeah, use whatever you have and just have fun with it. Okay, so we wrapped our final piece of ribbon and we'll secure that with our twine. And not that it matters, but if you have any loose ends that you don't want there, you can just snip those off. Okay, now let's put this in the pottery and see how it stands up. Okay, let's squeak those in there. Oh, just fits. These are very surprisingly heavy. I'm loving it. I love how this turned out. I know that this was not like an in-depth, you know, how-to tutorial kind of thing. It was just a simple upcycle. But I love doing these kind of projects, sometimes the most, because it's taking items that were being completely ignored or they were just unexciting, they just didn't do anything for you, and now you have them working for you. Like the pottery, that was just a plant pot that I had outside with a pencil cactus in it, and you know how some things just don't jive though? I bought that, it was only 10 bucks at, I can't remember if it was a garage sale or an estate sale, but I picked that up and I was just like, I'll just use it because I always need large plant pots and tall ones are nice, and I didn't even realize that that could work for these until I was like looking around the house, like kind of struggling, because I had the palm fronds. I loved those. I knew I wanted to do something with them, but I knew I didn't have like a vase that was big enough or anything. So then that hit me and I was like, okay, let's go transplant that pencil cactus out of there, take that, give it a makeover, and you know what? The pieces just fit. They just fit, and so that's what I love, is doing projects like this and hopefully inspiring you guys too to look around your house, see what you have, see what you could take that aren't together right now, but see what you could match up and create something magical in your house and just make it look like something that it just gives you joy, you know, it just sparks joy. Like that sparks joy. And now every time, I'm gonna keep it right here, and every time I come up the hallway here, I can see that as I'm walking up the hallway, and it just, like, I don't know, it just excites me. So I love the aesthetic of it. I was at an estate sale this weekend, and I did see a basket that looked like well, it was kind of like an urn-shaped basket, and I thought, oh, that, you know, I could buy that and use my palm fronds in it, but there's something with the contrast. You want to go with contrast. I love doing the contrast of natural with the white instead of like natural and natural, you know, if I was to use a basket for it. All right, I just want to share that little upcycle project with you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully it sparks some ideas for you and you can look around the house and say, okay, or outside or in the garage or something and be like, what do I have here that I could turn into a new beautiful piece of home decor that sparks joy for me. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you, have an awesome day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye guys.